sometimes when it rains, it pours, and you just have to question leadership at Xbox. I know people will often say, "Oh, you're just a hater of Phil," or whatever, or some kind of nonsense like, "Oh, he saved the Xbox brand. He saved it. Without him, it wouldn't exist." And then I sort of like point to a lot of different things that have happened over the last decade that he supposedly saved it, and none of it is very good. In fact, you know what I mean? Like, I can't point to a single thing that saved the quote unquote Xbox, which is a console. It's always going to be a console. That's what Xbox is. If there wasn't a console, I got news for you. It wouldn't be called Xbox anymore. They'd probably just call it Microsoft Gaming or something like that in terms of like the streaming and stuff like that. Xbox is the name. Xbox is the thing that people want. So it's always kind of unfortunate when you see this kind of stuff come up, and really just showcases exactly how far Microsoft has fallen off the face of the planet in terms of relative to having a console that is not only competing, but that people aren't actively making fun of. So, anyway, this should be a fun video. What's up, everybody? I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with yet another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I certainly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. That would be equally as awesome. I do daily video game content, so make sure you guys tune in for that. It's fun. I try to be entertaining, but also, informative as well. So, keep that in mind. So, one of my favorite games is one of the games you're looking at right here, Hi-Fi Rush, right? This game came out of nowhere. It was like stealth dropped, day one. They did a showcase, and then, hey, we got Hi-Fi Rush. I was like, hey, this looks really cool. Sort of reminds me of Jet Grind Radio. It's got some cool little things to it. It's got some good music, some beats. It's fun. It's just one of those games you play and you have a smile on your face the entire day, which is awesome. You're playing it, you're having a good time. That's what gaming's all about. And they dropped this at the beginning of 2023. Now, as you guys know, 2022 might be the worst year of a first-party console in terms of the exclusives that I've ever seen. Right? I'm completely being honest about that. It was utterly ridiculous. The games we got were, well, we got no big first-party games, first of all. There was no AAAs or anything like that, but what we did get was stuff like, I believe, let me think, Pentiment. I think Grounded finally launched officially and fully. We got, I think that was it. It was like, yeah, there wasn't much. It was a terrible year for Xbox fans. And we got Hi-Fi Rush, and everybody was like, oh man, this is really cool, and there were questions, hey, is this game successful right away? Like people were saying. I remember Jeff Grubb and other people saying Microsoft looks at it kind of sort of like a failure. And my thoughts were, you have this game with no physical version, no multiplayer, and you're complaining that it's a failure because why? Like, I'm not sure what they expected that to do for Game Pass subscriptions, but a AA game that's sort of a beat game isn't going to push Game Pass subscribers. It wasn't. And at the end of the day, it got millions of people to play, according to them, but obviously Microsoft did not think that was a big enough thing. So anyway, it felt like a huge hit for Xbox in early 2023, but even a critical darling like that couldn't help Tango Gameworks survive at Microsoft. In the end, the team was picked up by Korean publisher Krafton, so things have worked out okay, but the team's original founder thought they'd always be safe at Xbox. So that's the main thing. You can never trust these big corporations, and I think that's something that we're all starting to learn, even if they're your favorite corporation, right? None of these corporations care about the people working for them or the people buying their product. So, speaking in a new interview with IGN, Tango's legendary founder, Shinji Mikami, talked a little bit about the studio and Hi-Fi Rush, of course. Mikami said that he thought the team, which he left in 2023, would be safe as long as they continue to make Hi-Fi Rush games. He says the game's success was one of the reasons he left. He said, and I quote, I had thought the studio would be safe as long as they continued to make Hi-Fi Rush games. That's one of the reasons I left Tango Gameworks. So I was surprised when the studio was closed down. Now Krafton has taken over the business, so I feel like it worked out well in the end. I was reminded that if you make a good game, someone will pick it up. The hard work of Hi-Fi Rush development team led to a new chapter for the company. I think that for a development studio, making a good game is more directly related to survival than making a popular game. So now we're not really sure if, I'm not sure if I agree totally with them that critical success is more important than commercial success, because that's really important, especially for indie studios and things like that. But it's good to see that the Tango Rush, Tango and Hi-Fi are going to be alive after, they had some very, very big issues at Xbox. I mean, we all thought they were just going to be completely closed down, and the fact that they aren't, I think, is a very critical point to the future of all this stuff. You know what I mean? Because you finally have, something that is an amazing piece of content or whatever, and people were finally stopped making fun of Xbox. And then what happens, right? This happens, and I think that all of us kind of look at this and go, well, what could have been done differently? And I think that there's a lot of things that could have been done differently. Now, honestly, at the end of the day, I feel like the main thing that Microsoft could have done differently is actually give a damn about the company, give a damn about the game, because later you see stuff like, you need stuff like that, right? Look at Astrobot for PlayStation right now, right? It is literally lighting everything on fire, man. It's like the highest rated game of the year. It's one of those big games that's kind of getting positive word of mouth. Everybody can play it. It has a big kind of fan base where, every age group can play it because it's, of the rating and things like that. It's like a love letter to PlayStation fans in general because of, the way that they kind of handled the nostalgia and stuff like that, and Microsoft would never do any of that stuff, which is like really, really unfortunate, to be honest with you. So again, we see that Microsoft is on the butt end of the jokes here and all that kind of stuff, and that's super unfortunate. I really wish that Microsoft would kind of get their act together for no other reason than I think that we need the competition. In the gaming sphere, right? Like that's like something that's beyond obvious at this point. We have to be able to see, everybody. Oh yeah, Microsoft has their stuff, Sony has their stuff, Nintendo has their stuff, and each of that stuff is, looked at as something that's competitive and also as something that is worthy of itself. You know what I mean? And when we see that happen, I think that it's unfortunate that Microsoft has kind of let that go, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that continue to pretend like they don't even exist. To be honest with you, like they're the ones that are putting games on PlayStation and Nintendo, and when we look at that and we go, okay, well, how is that a bad thing? Well, it's a bad thing because Microsoft doesn't have any identity. Xbox doesn't have an identity anymore. It's super unfortunate. It's one of those things where I'm looking at this and I'm going, hey man, this thing looks worse almost by the day. And again, that's something that I think people have to realize, that Microsoft are the ones that let us down. We're the paying customer. We're the ones that were expecting something. We were the ones that believed in what they were pushing, and then they end up like just not pushing anything that we thought they would. We thought, hey, we're going to get all these exclusives, we're going to get all these games, and it just didn't end up happening, unfortunately. It's like by the time they did get some of these games, it was like, okay, well, these games are going to come to everybody. So yeah, again, it's just a real shame. And when you see developers go, okay, well, I thought we were going to be safe, it's kind of obvious that there is no such thing as safe in this day and age. You make a good game, it doesn't really mean anything. It's ironic to me because we had this situation where Microsoft was very much needing a win critically more than anything else, right? Like you get a critical win, I don't care if that sells 1 million copies or not. That's going to buy you like people. That's going to buy you the type of stuff that you don't get. It's like you can't pay for that type of advertising, right? That critical win. And they had that, man. They had that critical darling kind of all locked up there. Everybody was talking about Hi-Fi Rush. Even PlayStation fans were jealous. I mean, it's not going to be something that's going to sell Xboxes, and it was never going to be something that sold 10 million copies. But you had something that people were like, oh, well, people were actually starting to go, maybe this Microsoft's different. Maybe Xbox is different. And then what do? They did the most Microsoft thing ever and closed the studio and like ported the game everywhere, right? Like that never made any sense to me. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on this because obviously I feel like this is bad for Xbox in general, but maybe you guys have a little bit different thought on this than I do. I don't know. It's just, to me, it just blows my mind. I of course will link this article in the description and you guys can check it out. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. I'll catch you next time. Crap Gamer out.